Another summer, another clear out. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. I'm your host, Matt, and I hope you guys are having a wicked day. So, the Club World Cup is in full swing, and Chelsea have made it through to the round of 16, where we will face Benfica. But until then, we need something to talk about, right? And what there is never a lack of is the torrential downpour that is transfer news. Oh, we love the summer, don't we? There's always something to talk about. So today I'm going to be focusing on a report from The Athletic that says that apparently Chelsea have a list of 10 players that they are putting on the for sale list. So the article says there's 10 players on the list, but they only mention 9 players and indicate there is a mystery player. Ooh, what could that mean? I think I know who it is and have a crazy idea of why that might be. It probably won't, but it's just fun to speculate, right? So let's get into the list. This list is mostly unsurprising and mostly kind of a good thing, to be honest. Like, a lot of the players on this list are ones that we absolutely should get out the door. The wages that we will save, the transfer fees that we can remove from the wage bill. There are lots of positives here and a couple of negatives, but no real surprises. So the first name on the list is want-away attacker Christopher Nkunku, and he's also the only player on this list that happens to be in the Club World Cup squad. Yesterday I released a full match review of the Esperance Chelsea game where we battered them 3-0, so if you're interested in that, please head over to the channel and check it out. But as far as Christopher Nkunku goes, it's not a surprise, is it? Has anyone really been excited about Christopher Nkunku since Poch's pre-season? He'd had an amazing season coming from the Bundesliga, playing as a shadow striker in Red Bull Leipzig's 4-4-2. We spent £50 million on him, and I think he's on about 250 grand a week, so lots of money got thrown at him for sure. But as was to be the case with lots of players that season, Christopher Nkunku very quickly ended up injured for a lengthy spell. And honestly, if it hadn't been for one player, maybe we wouldn't be here, because Christopher Nkunku, as the Club World Cup is telling us, is kind of our only other option available in the squad right now that can play in the centre attack position. Although he didn't exactly cover himself in glory, positionally he's kind of the only other guy that makes sense to put there. But after Nkunku's injury, we discovered Cole Palmer, and it's just been a slow and steady decline, hasn't it? Like, he obviously scored loads of goals in the Conference League last season. I think he might even have been the top scorer in the Conference League. I know Mark Gui was third, so you've got to think Christopher Nkunku probably very near the top, if not the absolute top scorer. And he used to do all these things, like the balloon would come out and it was all like good vibes and good feeling and stuff. So the thing with Christopher Nkunku, for me, it's a systematic positional kind of thing. I had a really interesting debate with Behind the Dugouts, another new Chelsea YouTuber that you should absolutely go and check out. And we were talking about Gusto at the time, actually, and he made a really interesting point where it's like, isn't it the manager's job, the coach's job, to coach the players and get them better? And I said, yes, to a large extent, I 100% agree with that, but I do also ship the idea that positional play is a thing, right? And you can't convert everyone to everything. We've had this before, and do you know what I mean? It's not just down to bad coaching. I think positional attributes are a real thing. I do think you can convert a lot of players to be certain things. Do you know what I mean? Like Cucurella is a really good example. Cucurella came from being a left wing back mostly for like Brighton, and he's come and started off as like an orthodox left back and then been introduced to this inverting midfield position, and now he literally plays as like a number 10. So if certain players have certain attributes and they are malleable to make those sorts of changes, then absolutely I do agree. I think that players can be transferred. There's other examples, isn't there? Like, not even from Chelsea, like Joel Linton from Newcastle. They bought him as a striker and he stunk up the joint for like a whole season. And then Eddie Howe comes in and goes, I think you're a marauding number 8. And he went, yes, I am. So there is something in that. And a good coach can get a good performance out of a player in an unfamiliar position. 100% that's true. We've tried him on left wing. We've tried him in a centre of attack. And we've tried him up top multiple times across each one. And he can do a job, but he never looks comfortable and he never looks like we're flying there. Do you know what I mean? And it definitely never looks like, oh, okay, we're going to take this player, i.e. Cole Palmer, out so we can, get you in because you're so good in that role. I think that he will do well somewhere that plays him in the right way. But I just don't think he is one of these jack of all trades players that can take his specific skill set and imprint it onto another position. I'm not particularly sad, obviously, about Christopher Nkunku. I'm not so attached to him. Although I was really hyped when he came, because of the way we're playing now, I wouldn't want to go back to like a 3-4-3 just to accommodate him and to try and get the best out of him, because I don't think that fits the rest of what we've got in the team. So while I do agree 100% with what my friend Behind the Dugout said, it is important for a coach to get the best out of their players, I do think that has its limits. I think we've reached that limit with Christopher Nkunku. So if we can make 50 mil back off of him, I just think that works the best for him. It works the best for us. And hopefully that doesn't come back to sting us. Okay, next on the list is an interesting one because it does look like, as of today, imminently, he might be on his way out. It is want-away goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga. Kepa is an enigma of a story, not necessarily a goalkeeper, just of a story. It's such a strange story, do you know what I mean? Because he's barely even 30, if he's not even 30, he might even still be 29, and he's been everywhere. He's been to the top, to the bottom, he's played full seasons, he's barely played at all, he's had crazy moments, he's had great moments, he seems like the right guy, and then he's not the right guy. Kepa Arrizabalaga story has never, ever been consistent. So we got Kepa Arrizabalaga for £70 million. £70 million. So much money, but we had to, because that was the year of the snake when Courtois, after winning the league with us, was like, I'm off to Real Madrid, I'll fire. And it was like, oh, mate, what do we do now? Okay, here's a young goalkeeper from Athletic Bilbao. Oh, what's that? You want £70 million for him? Sure, I guess the only way we can make that work is by putting him on a 7-year deal. And that was everyone's introduction to amortization, whether we knew it or not. His entire career was almost defined by the moment when Maurizio Sarri was the manager. And I think we had Willy Caballero as our backup keeper at the time. And Sarri wanted to take Kepa off for a game. I think it might have been an FA Cup game. You'll have to remind me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. So Sarri wanted to take Kepa off and put Willy Caballero on for the penalties because we were coming up to penalties in a game. And Kepa said no. No. I mean, when have you ever seen that, man? Ever seen that? The sheer audacity was dumbfounding. It was crazy. I mean, it was like what John Terry said, wasn't it? John Terry was like, I'd have dragged him off. I'd have dragged him off myself. I'd have absolutely loved to have seen John Terry drag Kepa Arrizabalaga off the field. That would have been amazing. But Maurizio Sarri did kind of bail out of it as well, didn't he? And I remember something like the interview afterwards. He was like, oh no, there was a misunderstanding. I think that he said he was injured, but he wasn't injured, so it was okay. Obviously, it was penalties were coming up. Willy Caballero has a superior, very superior save percentage for penalties, and Kepa Arrizabalaga did. So it just seemed like the right thing to do to win the game. I don't even remember if we went on to win the game, to be honest. And that's how massive this moment is, isn't it? That moment lives rent-free in everyone's mind, especially Chelsea fans. And I can't even remember what the outcome was. Kepa Arrizabalaga never really came back from that. He was injured for quite a long time as well, I seem to remember. He did have one quite lengthy injury spell. He then went on loan to... Was it straight away to Real Madrid? I can't remember. He's been on so many loans, it's mad. But the loans that stick out in mind was Bournemouth, which was obviously his most recent one, and that seemed to go fairly well for him. And somehow, Real Madrid. And the funny thing about that is, obviously, they wanted him because Courtois was injured. So Courtois got injured. Real Madrid have panic, and apparently when you panic about the goalkeeping situation, you look at Kepa Arrizabalaga. There is precedent to say that is what happens. So yeah, he went on loan to Real Madrid. Had an okay start, but then ended up getting ousted by like the Real Madrid third keeper, so he couldn't even get game time at Real Madrid. Came back to Chelsea, went on loan to Bournemouth, and now, finally, somewhere in this, by the way, a little tidbit that I forgot. I think it was when we sent him on loan to Real Madrid, we had to extend his contract by like a year or something as well, because, that happens sometimes, doesn't it? Whereas, like, I'm not going unless you extend my contract and I want more money or security, safety, blah, 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 whatever. We did that, do you know what I mean? So we didn't lose him on a free. So yeah, he went to Real Madrid, kind of stunk up the joint a little bit, has had a reasonable season out of Bournemouth, and now, I don't think he's back at Chelsea, but it seems like, finally, after all this time, he's on his way to Arsenal. Arsenal love buying retired Chelsea players, don't they? They absolutely love it. There is a long history. They literally last year, they got Raheem Sterling. Do you know what I mean? What is it we're looking at? There's David Luiz, there's Willian, there's Cech, there's Jorginho, there's literally like this whole massive long list of players that have come to the end of their Chelsea careers, and Arsenal have gone, we'll have him. And obviously, 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't really work. Raheem Sterling being a prime example of that, it's really, really not gone well for him. And that's now going to become our problem again. So yeah, the latest in the long line is Kepa Arrizabalaga. I guess the credit you'll give them this time is they're not buying him to go into the first team. It's not like he's going to compete with David Raya. But ultimately, it looks like imminently they will be activating Kepa Arrizabalaга's £5 million release clause, and the nightmare will finally be over. So, sticking to goalkeepers, the next one is one that I am particularly upset about. It is Djordje Petrovic. Djordje Petrovic we bought for 13 mil from an MLS team. I remember the noise coming out when we bought him from his camp, like his agent and whatever. It was like, he's coming in to challenge now. He's not like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go out on loan and this and that and the other. He's like, no, he wants to come in and be in the team. That was in the same season that we just got Poch, wasn't it? So obviously Robert Sanchez has come in. Obviously Robert Sanchez has been there from the Graham Potter era, I think, which is just a blur in my memory. It was so horrible. I just like to forget about it. But Robert Sanchez was the first choice goalkeeper under Pochettino, stunk the joint out because that's what happens with Robert Sanchez. And Petrovic was given a shot and just looked good. He made a couple of mistakes here and there, but it wasn't like a consistent thing. He is the closest thing to confident I have felt in our goalkeeper since Courtois. No, I tell a lie. Edouard Mendy for that season was great and then kind of tailed off and got sold. But since then, Jordi Petrovic is the only guy I've seen in between the sticks who looks like I would be up for giving him a shot. And we're not. We're absolutely not giving him a shot. He is on this sell list. It's all a bit weird with Jordi Petrovic, especially because he just had an amazing season at Strasbourg, like Andre Santos, for instance. You know, they performed really well. They got, I think it was Conference League or Europa League football. He played most of their games. He was their number one keeper. They've got a good manager out there who likes him. He got better with his feet. It seemed to be all of the right things. And then the announcement came when the Club World Cup squad was announced and he wasn't in it, and it was like, what's going on here? Surely now is the perfect time to give him a chance. And supposedly Jordi Petrovic has come and said, I want guarantees that I'm going to play. That's a tough one, man, because as much as I desperately want to give Jordi Petrovic a chance, you can't give anyone guarantees. This is like what happened, to take you way back now, when Romelu Lukaku came back to us from his loan at West Brom, played a pre-season with us, missed that penalty against Bayern Munich and was like, I want guaranteed time, and we wouldn't give it to him. And we were like, compete for your place against Demba Ba and an aging, awful Fernando Torres. And he was like, no, I want guaranteed minutes. And it was like, right, I guess we'll loan you to Everton then, because that's what he wanted to do. And that seems to be, that's basically how I feel about this now. If you're not willing to come and fight for your place against Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen, then no, maybe attitude-wise, the best thing for you to do is to go somewhere else. I understand it. He's young, he's in a pivotal point in his career, and he wants to be assured that he's going to get game time. But it's not like he's got much competition, is it? Let's be honest. Oh, yeah. So I'm disappointed about this one because I like him. He's big, he's assured, he feels confident, and if he's getting better with his feet, then that's going to play better into the style that we're going for. I ultimately don't think anyone gets guaranteed game time. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's a good way to do business. I think in a game like football, where form is a thing and it can drop. And, you know, Sanchez, for instance, the reason that he got a chance in the first place is because Sanchez dropped out. So if he has a couple of bad games, Petrovic, and drops out and Mike Penders comes in, that's his own fault. Do you know what I mean? That's what football is. It is, do you know what I mean? It's a game of opportunity and you've got to play that game. And if you don't want to play that game, then fair enough. Okay, next up on the sell list is Raheem Sterling. I mean, it just is what it is, isn't it? Raheem Sterling was, at one point, one of the best wingers in the country. He was so good in that Pep team. He was so good in that Pep team, and somehow managed to lose a spot to Jack Grealish, which is weird because Raheem Sterling was scoring like 20 goals a season, and then Jack Grealish comes in, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to play Jack Grealish instead. But obviously they paid 100 mil for Jack Grealish. Sterling was obviously like, I want game time, and you know, if you're not going to give me that game time, I'm going to go. So we swoop in and pay 50 million for him. Now, at the time, I was like, wicked, 28 years old, prime Raheem Sterling, awesome, let's do that. But obviously, it just didn't work out very well, did it? And I think the reason for that is the Sterling that we bought in our minds is not the Sterling that we got. The Sterling that we bought was an integral cog in a system, a really specific system that played a really specific kind of way. I remember watching like a goal compilation of Sterling versus Mane in that year where they both scored like 25 goals in the season. Almost all of Sterling's goals were arriving late in the box and reasonably close range finishes, whereas Mane obviously was a bit more here, there, everywhere sort of thing. So Sterling, you know, that was what he was good at when he was at his best in that Man City team. And the Sterling that we got was a Sterling that tried to make everything happen by himself. He tried to be the playmaker, the dribbler, the goal scorer, the assister. He was given freedom to express himself, I guess, which is, you know, I guess you might have thought was a good thing. But ultimately, that isn't what was happening when he was playing his best football. When he was playing his best football, he had a real role to play. We kind of gave him too much. He became a bit selfish as well, and really like, I need to do this for me. I need to do this for me at the detriment of the team. And that happened a few times. Do you know what I mean? It was another one of those big money buys that the Clear Lake guys made at the very beginning of their tenure. You know, we bought Aubameyang and Koulibaly in the same window. So a bit of experience, all that's all fine and good, but it just hasn't worked out. The problem with Sterling is the wages, right? Like, I don't think anyone's expecting to get anything more than like 20, 25 mil for Sterling. No one's like, we're not selling him for anything more than 50 mil. We just desperately need to get his 300 grand a week off of the books. And it's just so much money to get off the books. It's probably because what we did with Arsenal is we subsidised like 2/3 of his wages. So Arsenal paid him 100 grand a week and we still paid the other 200 grand a week. I'm not convinced we're going to find a buyer, really, unless we literally say you can have him for free and we'll pay all of his wages for a year. I just don't think that we're going to really easily find a buyer for Sterling. It's a shame. I really liked him as a player, but like I say, the one we got wasn't the one that I, thought we were going to get. Obviously, we wanted the Man City Sterling and we got something kind of completely different. Right, next on the list is a sad one, sort of, but also I just kind of get this one. It's Ben Chilwell, right? Ben Chilwell, we bought 50 million. It was a Frank Lampard signing. Lampard was like, I want this guy. Get me this guy. He is the guy that I need on my team in order to be successful. He was young. He'd been playing really well for Leicester. He was a really attacking fullback. And obviously we had Reece James on the other side as well, who was also a really attacking fullback. And it was in that period where it was all about width. Do you know what I mean? Width was like the thing. And Ben Chilwell was a massive part of that. He was a huge part of winning us a Champions League. He played exceptionally well in that kind of three at the back system, especially when Thomas Tuchel came in, and Reece James and Ben Chilwell were literally two of our most potent attacking outlets. Times they are a changing, as said marvellous Bob Dylan. We obviously went for a lot of managers. Obviously where we're sitting now is the left back role was turned into something completely different. We don't do wing backs anymore. There's no more three at the back. And even as a conventional left back, we're not looking for width from our left backs anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like Marc Cucurella and what you're seeing from the likes of Malagusto and Reece James and even Josh Achiampong to a lesser extent. It's all about inverting now. It's getting in the middle of the field. For instance, Pochettino was playing Ben Chilwell on left wing at sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Because he's like, I don't see him as our conventional left back. Ben Chilwell is literally like, he's kind of a one-trick pony. He's really, really good at that trick. So yeah, Ben Chilwell, really, really glad he was part of our team. Do you know what I mean? I bear him no ill will at all. And I like the fact they're sending him out to Crystal Palace and they're looking for the right moves for him. And I think that's the right thing to do because he's been an excellent servant to the club and he deserves to make the kind of move that he wants to in future. But again, we need to get those wages off the books, man, because he's another like 200 grand a week kind of guy. Next it is Axel Disasi, one of the two Monaco boys that we bought, and we were all like, "Whoa, the Monaco partnership, wicked, wicked, wicked," and it's just not turned out that way, has it? Axel Disasi is David Luiz 2.0, but nowhere near as good. And it sounds like I'm being harsh. Like, I actually like Axel Disasi. I've seen a few of his like interviews and a few of the fun Chelsea videos he makes. He seems like a really, really nice dude. It's really, really good for the fan base to watch a player who seems to love being in the shirt. You just imagine the Benny Hill theme tune constantly playing while he's on the pitch, and it's like Axel Disasi is scoring own goals and failing to close people down and creating problems, giving away free kicks. And do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, he's all of the worst parts of David Luiz without any of the really good parts about him. We spent a lot of money on him. And for most people, especially the fans, it really highlighted the terrible decision that Clearlake had made in trying to offload Trevor Chalobah when we bought this guy for 45 mil. If we sell Chalobah for 30 mil and we bought Axel Disasi for 45, I know there's, I know it's not as simple as that. But at the same time, obviously, we brought Trevor Chalobah back and sent Disasi out on loan. So mistake kind of rectified. But at the same time, you've just got to look at the quality you got in your squad. And unfortunately, Axel Disasi wasn't even in like the top 4 centre-backs we had at our club. Okay, next is a bit of a nothing one, really, I guess, isn't it? It is Renato Vega. Renato Vega is just an asset. You know what I mean? There was never, he got some game time, but the fact that we were okay with him agitating for a move 6 months after joining us so he could play in his rightful position or whatever, despite having 0 other left-back options. But yeah, Renato Vega, we bought him for 9 mil. If we make 20, we've doubled our money in the space of a year. That's just good business. Yeah, I don't really see you ousting Levi Colwill or Marc Cucurella, and you're obviously too ambitious to build your way up to that. And obviously, he's getting into Portugal's first team and he went to Juventus, which in themselves are a massive club. So it's not even wrong, really, is it? So yeah, if we get 20 mil for Renato Vega, fair dues, man. Fair dues. Can't really say much more than that. The next one's a little bit sad. It was a what could have been situation. It's Carney Chukwuemeka. We bought Carney Chukwuemeka for 15 mil, I think, from Aston Villa. He had a few sparkly moments, man, didn't he? Do you remember that goal against West Ham? Oh, mate, literally, it was just like, wow, he's arrived. Look at this midfielder. He's maybe the only other player that, had he have consistently carried on improving and getting into the team, maybe could have rivaled Cole Palmer, or at least been 100% that backup for him in place of someone like Christopher Nkunku. He's a good midfielder. He was big. He was tall. He's very, very technical. Kind of like a more advanced version of someone like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He wasn't an academy boy, so there's no like innate connection to him. Do you know what I mean? That pulls on the heartstrings. It was just really sad because he looked like he was going to do really well. Got injured for a really long time. Struggled to get back into the team. Gone on loan to Dortmund. I think he's done all right. Do you know what I mean? He's not tearing up trees over there, but he's not had a terrible season either. And he's just fallen into the Renato Vega category of asset. Do you know what I mean? So we bought him for 15 mil. If we can sell him for 20, there's your profit. 25 at an absolute push, something like that. Maybe it'd be good if Nottingham Forest sell Morgan Gibbs-White. Maybe somewhere like there would be really good for him because he's got it. He's definitely got the thing, but he needs time and minutes, more importantly. You know, maybe like a Brentford or even a Crystal Palace, something like that. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a team that he could get into that would really benefit from having him there. It's just not going to be us, is it? It's just not going to be us. And last on the Athletics list of written names is Armando Broja. So Broja, again, injury thing really, isn't it? Like he had a few games where it was like, oh look, maybe we've got something here. He got injured for absolutely ages and then came back and never kind of looked good again. Went on loan to like Fulham and Everton, and apparently Everton are interested in him. But yeah, Broja just never made it, man. Just never made it. He had a couple of positive looking pre-seasons. He's an academy graduate, so it's pure profit. He's not breaking into the team. He's nowhere near as good as Liam Delap. I wouldn't even put him anywhere close to Jackson, for instance. So yeah, that's just another money maker, just an asset that we can make money off. And this list has mostly been comprised of two types of players, right? It's either players that we've had for too long that are on massive wages, or it's players that we can make a quick buck off, and Broja falls into the quick buck category, I think. So that's the list of 9 names that they wrote down, but the article did state that there were 10. I think that last player is not a surprise to anyone. I think it's João Felix. And I find it interesting that he wasn't on this list to begin with. So obviously we loaned him out to AC Milan, so that was already some sort of indication that there isn't a spot for him in the team. He's not in the Club World Cup squad, which Christopher Nkunku is, and Christopher Nkunku is on this list. So it's unusual, isn't it? Why wouldn't you just put João Felix on this list? It's also, there's been loads of news about him going back to Benfica. Now, is the surprise, is the mystery that João Felix is going to appear for Benfica against Chelsea in our round of 16 match? That's crazy. Nothing like that ever happens, right? I'm not really expecting it to, but it'd be fun, wouldn't it? It'd be fun. I think João Felix needs this. I don't know if he's ever going to... Well, no, I don't think he's ever going to reach the potential. Do you know what I mean? Atletico Madrid bought him for 120 mil from Benfica at 19 years old. That was like 5 years ago or something. He just never quite made it, did he? He's had, again, loads of different loan spells. Obviously, he came on loan to us once. He went on loan to Barcelona, where he did play quite well, but for some reason they just didn't want to make it permanent. He's obviously not done very well at AC Milan either. I think he's another one of these, I don't like to use the term, but almost like positionless players that are filled of potential. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at the list of these players that we've bought specifically, right? Kai Havertz for me was one of those. I still maintain to this day, Kai Havertz is not a number 9. Fight me on it. I'd love to talk to you about this one in the comments. And I get that that's where he plays and stuff, but I don't think Kai Havertz is a number 9, and I don't think he's a number 10. The same thing with Christopher Nkunku, and now the same thing with João Felix. This kind of player was amazing, like 6-7 years ago, something like that. There was a lot of spots and a lot of teams with players like this. Obviously, tactics are changing. Things are a little bit different now, and this kind of hybrid centre attack, striker, attacking midfielder kind of person, kind of player, is just kind of falling out of favour in general, isn't it? Which is weird because versatile players are all the rage now. Everyone wants a versatile player that can play a million positions, but this specific one, unless you're playing like Christopher Nkunku's Red Bull Leipzig, for instance, that 4-4-2 with like the shadow striker sort of thing, there just doesn't really seem to be a lot of place for these kind of players in what attacking midfielders are being asked to do in today's game. So yeah, that's it, guys. That is my wrap-up of the players that have been purported to be leaving. As ever, I will be keeping my ear to the ground for more Chelsea news, and I will be here to report it to you as soon as possible. If you enjoy the content, please do me the distinct honour of liking, sharing, subscribing, hit all of the algorithmical buttons. I'm on the race to 1,000 subs. I need your help. Let's get this ball rolling. Nice one, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Have a wicked day, and I'll catch up with you soon. Peace.